To CBS Sports HQ, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Amanda Guerra with you. Well, Week 18 is finally here, and this one is loaded with drama. The Packers have locked up the 1 seed in the NFC, but the AFC, it is still the wild, wild west, but it's all about to unfold.
The final regular season weekend is upon us in the NFL, and it starts with a Saturday doubleheader, both with playoff implications. The Chiefs will head west to take on the Broncos at Mile High, but no longer control their own destiny as far as the #1 overall seed goes. With the win, they'll be at worst the 2nd seed, and will have to hope the Texans can pull off a season sweep of the Titans to earn a playoff bye. But for Mahomes and the rest of the Chiefs, it's task at hand for now.
I think guys will be ready to go. We're playing Denver. They're a good football team. They gave us the challenge this last time we played them, like they always do. We're playing in Denver, which is a tough place to play at.
In the nightcap, NFC rivals, Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles will clash in the city of brotherly love. And although both teams have already locked up playoff spots, heading into the postseason with some momentum might make a difference. And Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy has made it clear they want to be playing their best football heading into the playoffs.
We're going to play to win the game. So that's our approach.
It's the final weekend of the regular season. Who will head into the playoffs on a high note? Week 18 is about to get underway.
It is Week 18 in the NFL. Amanda Guerra, Brady, Quinn, Prisco here to give you picks for all of the games in Week 18. But of course, first, we got to take a look at the standings here. Brady's already trying to cheat.
How am I trying to cheat? You're not trying to cheat, but you're
here
trying to.
Here are the standings. You're
look,
games behind.
Pete had a great week last week. He's up 4 going into the final week of the regular season. We were trying to decide, is this a regular season deal?
I have no idea.
That's
not my call.
It's
not my call.
Well, the problem is if we there's the potential that we could end in a tie because there's only 4 differences this week. Now, I don't know what 4 differences those are because I've just been given the rundown of what those picks are. So that's the unfortunate part is no one wants to end in a tie. This could potentially end in a tie.
And we said that I was loud.
And what did you say before the show? You said he was trying to change his picks.
You know, we're going to get into that. Hold on. Here's the
no
thing.
one wants us to end in a tie.
Dan, but can you just shh? Okay, this is why. Because I need to read. We had this great article on CBSSports.com by Pete Prisco, who used the entire first part of the article to praise himself.
Yep.
I did it. I finally did it. I hit the Triple Crown after weeks of coming close. Week 17 proved to be my best overall week in picking NFL games. You then go into, you praised yourself so much, we had to put it on 2 full screens.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about you.
It's always about me.
The best bets. What happened? Why were you so good? Or just tell us.
You didn't go 12-4. You went
12-4.
No, we had a push.
I went 12-4.
So
Look,
was the line
Brady's trying to take away one of my picks.
Can we get our producer to jump in
if
here?
I do say so myself. I said 2 full screens.
No, can we get our producer to jump in?
He said there was a push.
We didn't have a push on our picks on site.
What do you mean I had a push? Do we not have our own thing going on here?
No, that's on here we had a push.
Okay, so you had different lines you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely a different line.
I thought journalists were supposed to be unbiased. That entire first article is just praising you.
Well, yeah. It's always about me. What's good for me is good for me. That's my motto.
We will get into the picks for this week. Let's start with the Chiefs and Broncos. We just heard about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's not going to play there. The Chiefs coming off that loss to the Bengals, though, they are favored by 10 in this one. Pete, what'd you think of that loss by the Chiefs and then your picks?
Where was the Chiefs' offense in the second half? That's what I couldn't figure out. They went to sleep. I mean, they did nothing in the second half after a really good first half, and Joe Burrow was outstanding.
Yep.
1 in 10. 2 in 10. They played by.
You can keep talking about Burrow all you want. At some point, you need to recognize that Jamar Chase.
Oh, he's great.
No. He may be the more valuable piece to all this making it work because they can't cover. No. They can't cover him, and it became very apparent what was going on in that.
Wait. The quarterback defender
coming from a quarterback
is saying that, and he's the quarterback defender, is saying that Jamar Chase is more valuable to the Bengals than Joe Burrow.
I'm saying Jamar Chase could be that Jerry Rice to Joe Montana.
But who's more valuable?
I mean, Steve Young might tell you that Jerry Rice is pretty valuable too.
They're valuable. They're not more valuable, Brady. Look, the Bengals are good. We know that. That's a whole other story. But the Chiefs, this is an opportunity to get back on track. The Broncos are decimated. Their offense is one of the worst offenses we've seen in Denver Broncos history. It's terrible. The Chiefs' defense will rebound. I love the Chiefs minus the 10 here.
It's a big number for a divisional matchup, but you're talking about a divisional match where we're probably going to see Drew Lock, I would imagine. If not even with Teddy Bridgewater. neither has been great this year, but it's not. I don't put
It
it
won't
on
be
them.
Bridgewater. It might be the third quarterback.
Right, but either way, I don't put it on them. It's their system. It's their offense. Pat Shermer, I think, has really struggled to implement any sort of offensive system that gives you big plays down the field. So that's, to me, been their Achilles heel. Is there's just no explosive plays. They've got the personnel. They're just not taking those opportunities or chances. And this roster, to me, can match up with the Chiefs, at least defensively speaking. It's just a matter of if the offense can. And unfortunately, they haven't played that way. So I'm going to lay the 10 points. I don't feel great about it, and especially any divisional matchup. But I think there's more motivation on the side of the Chiefs here with what their aspirations are moving forward than there is for the Broncos, who may be preparing for a head coaching search, at least if you ask JLC and some of the others within the know.
No Patrick Surtain as well. He's out.
Which hurts,
so
yeah.
that hurts them a great deal. And it could be Brett Rippon. I mean, you excited about that, Brady?
No, I think that makes you feel better about laying the 10 points.
Yeah, I thought so.
Both of you agreeing on that. Well, let's go to the Cowboys at Eagles here. Again, these are Saturday games. Cowboys, of course, have clinched the NFC East, but both these teams are headed to the postseason. Cowboys favored by 7 on the road here. The total's 43, Brady.
Kind of curious to see what Philly does. They can't really climb. They've already, they clinched a spot at this point. So I wonder if they're going to get to a point in time in this game where maybe they say, hey, let's pull some guys out, maybe play them a little bit for a series or two or a half, pull some guys out. That's what I'm anticipating. Again, another divisional matchup. That's how Week 18 has been set up. Dallas is the better of the two teams. I do think once we get into the playoffs, though, Philly could be sneaky. They could be that team that ends up pulling off an upset or has a surprise game because of the dual threat ability of Jalen Hurts, because of how that defense can play and some of the big plays they can create. So I don't think they win this one. You lay the 7 points here with Dallas. But I think Philly's is an interesting team to keep an eye on in the playoffs.
Wow, because Philly's almost assured of playing the Bucs, so you have them winning in the postseason at
I'm
Tampa.
not saying they're winning.
Early pick.
I think I wouldn't be shocked. I'll put it that way.
I would be. You'd be shocked. You would be shocked if they went to Tampa.
Chris Godwin. You got Mike Evans, who doesn't seem like he's healthy.
Next week we'll talk more about that.
Okay.
This week we have no idea who's playing in this game.
Yeah.
We do
don't
know. I do want to mention Tyron Smith and Micah Parsons both out.
Yeah, for COVID. And there's supposedly more Cowboys who have COVID. The Cowboys were going to play to win. They were going to play their guys.
Yeah.
The Eagles might not. It could be Gardner Minshew. Oh, my gosh. Whoa, that's exciting
Hey,
to watch.
last time out, he won. He played pretty darn well.
That's what he is. He can go in and play for a game.
Hey, you say whatever you want, though. That makes me a little more concerned about my pick here.
I'm taking the Cowboys.
He just has disdain for Gardner Minshew. I don't get it. Statistically, he's been good every single time he's played. He was in a dumpster fire situation in Jacksonville. It looks like that's gotten better, too, as the year's gone on.
He's not good. He's not good, but
Keep your
I'll
jealous
take
of
the
mustache.
Cowboys.
Did you ever have like a big
No, he
mustache
can't grow
Pete, back in the
facial
day?
Can't.
He can never do what Minshew can
Now
do.
I know.
Can't do that. I might be able to read the field better.
No.
Yeah.
Recapping their picks
what
there. We're starting off with agreement between these two. Both taking the Chiefs to cover the 10, the Cowboys to cover the 7. Brady taking the over in both of those games. Welcome back into CBS Sports HQ, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. Taking a look at the 1 p.m. games you're going to get on Sunday, Week 18. Can you believe that we made it here?
It's
Week
amazing.
18, it's crazy.
It's amazing. The season goes fast, and then it goes slow, and then it goes fast again.
Amazing. I mean, I'm kind of sad. I don't know about amazing. I'm sad we're already here. We're already at the end of the season. Sad.
Not the end of the season. It's just
It's
start.
end of the regular
Postseason, baby.
I'm just saying, we're getting closer to the Super Bowl, which is great, but then, we don't have football for a while.
Yeah.
It's my favorite part of this show. I just have to say one thing and tee you guys up, and you're going to go forever. You don't technically need a host for this, but I am here, needless to say. All right, Titans and Texans. Titans, the easiest road to the 1 seed in the AFC. They need to win. That's all they got to do. They're favored by 10 in Houston. The total here is 43, Pete.
And they will win, and they will be the number 1 seed, and they will be tough to get out in the playoffs.
So what are you saying, backdoor cover here?
Yeah, the Texans are going to hang around in this game. The Texans have played good football in the last month of the season. David Culley deserves a lot of credit. They've been tough. They've been physical. Davis Mills has played well. They were leading the 49ers last week at one point, almost midway through that game, and then it kind of unraveled on them.
Yeah,
remember, they beat the
because remember, we picked opposite of that
Yeah.
and ended up losing out. What was the spread? 12.5.
Yeah.
How much did they win by?
Yeah.
A little more than that at the
Yeah,
end of it.
you had a loser.
Yeah, it was a
And
loser.
that's one of the ones that I'm up for with, and I'm happy about that. Thank you, 49ers. But this week I'm going with the Texans. I just think they're going to hang around. And remember, the last time they played them at Nashville, they beat them.
Yep.
And look at that touchdown to interception ratio. Wasn't very good for Ryan Tannehill. Threw the ball way too much in that game. I'll take the Texans in the 10.
I love this. We have 4 differences. This is the one that I'm excited about because the Titans are still playing for something. They've got to win this game. I think they want to continue their momentum, win convincingly. I think Ryan Tannehill wants to play better football, too, going into it. He hasn't been asked to do much. He wasn't asked to do much last week. It was really the rushing attack, almost 200 yards on the ground. And when he was called upon, he did his job. But I think this is one of those instances where if you're a quarterback going into the postseason, you're going to be getting Derrick Henry back. I don't know what shape he'll be in, but we're already seeing practice tape and video. That's a scary thing to think about. So if I'm the Titans, I want to win this one convincingly, leave no doubt, and go with a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum into the playoffs. I think they win. I think they win big, even though, to your point, David calling the Texans, they've continued to be competitive and keep some fight, even though it's been a rough season.
This will be the one that ends it right here.
You think so?
It ends it.
I mean, there's 3 others we can talk about.
No, but this one will end it.
This
You
is
need all 4 of them. This will end it.
So by 1 o'clock,
here's what I don't understand. So is this it then?
By
Just the
1
regular
p.m.
season, that's it?
I don't know what we're going to do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're wavering now.
I don't make that
decision. You got to
decision.
give me a chance to at least win and let me disagree on
Who
another
should make
one.
that decision, Amanda? Producer should make that
Producer
decision.
Jack.
Producer Jack.
Producer Jack should make the decision.
By the end of the show,
Well, no.
we'll know. He'll make a
idea.
decision.
Why would we wait till the end? There's a chance to have 5 differences so we have a winner or a loser. If I get all mine that are
We
right.
only have 4 differences.
Can
get it.
someone
I know the
explain
math.
to him,
I
please?
get the math.
We have 4 differences. If I get all 4 of those right, we tie.
Right.
No one wants
Jack
to see
said,
a
okay,
tie.
well, official decision, Jack says you're going through the playoffs.
Okay.
Okay, there we
He's
go.
happy about that.
Okay, we can
I
end this
really am not. I'd rather end right now.
Yeah, you are.
Let's get
all
a
the-
pick on the next
all the
game.
chips
How
on the
about that?
table.
Let's go Colts, Jags. Here's the thing. The Colts have not clinched a playoff berth yet. They need to win. If they lose, I'll just say if the Jags end up winning this, it's just going to spiral down and a lot of things are going to happen. The Jags right now, though, they do a lot of different
Well, then
things
we're
can
going to have the
happen.
Chargers and Raiders just kneel for an entire
and then
game.
they're just
Or
going to
tie
tie so they can both get
Or
in.
the winner of the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game gets in.
That's what I'm saying. The Steelers, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
everybody's rooting for the Jaguars this week. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
well, the
teams-
Jags
Except for
also,
you.
No, I don't care.
the Jags have the number 1 spot in the draft right now.
Well, they still need to lose.
They
because
need
if the
to
Lions
lose.
win, then they could have.
I don't think they'll have any problem with it.
Yeah.
No, I don't either. But
Look, a lose for the
think about
Jags
this,
is good
though.
for them and the Colts.
2014 is the last time they won in Jacksonville, the Colts. 2014.
Brady
Last
hates
time.
stats. I try giving him stats and he just rolls his eyes.
7 years ago? Is that what you just said?
Okay, here's the thing. It's a big number, 15 and a half.
It's a giant number,
Yeah.
but the Jaguars are terrible right now. They're awful. Their offense is terrible. They have nobody who can get open. The line stinks. Lawrence is struggling. They have no run game. The Colts will play this week. You heard Darius Leonard talking about how they weren't focused. Why weren't they focused last week for that game? It makes no sense whatsoever. They'll be focused here. I don't like laying these kind of numbers, but I'm laying it. I'll take the Colts minus the point.
Well, I think we're both doing it a lot this week. You're kind of put in that position with the matchup, some of these divisional matchups with teams that are still in it and teams that aren't. I'm willing to lay the points here because, again, this is another instance where the Colts need this win. And you look at the Jags, and the bottom line is they've continued to
need
go
their
downhill.
loss.
They stink.
They're not good.
No, they
continue
stink.
to go downhill.
They're nice.
It's funny. I think the Jaguars at some point really should have thought about shutting down Trevor Lawrence to protect him. If the Giants are going to make that move with Daniel Jones at this
He's not
point in time,
hurt.
his tenure there, it doesn't matter. He's bound to get hurt in one of these games with the way there's a lack of protection and everything else. And you might say, well, he needs to be out there. He needs to play. No, he really doesn't. He really doesn't. They're going to have the number 1 overall pick. They'll figure out whether they take a tackle, a defensive player, best available, whatever. We'll talk about that in the offseason. This has been all just detrimental for Trevor Lawrence at this point in time. So this game isn't going to be any better for him. I feel bad the season's gone the way it has, but hopefully, things will get better in the future. The reality is the Colts are destined, I think, to be one of those, kind of we talked about earlier, another sneaky good team if they get in Philly in the NFC. The Colts are that team to me. The defense, the running game, it really all hangs on Carson Wentz and how he's able to play. So maybe this is one of those instances, too. You see a quarterback kind of get some momentum and confidence going into the playoffs, and it's not all just going to be Jonathan Taylor making plays.
We agree.
I know. I'm sorry, producer Jack was in my ear. We're just talking about some stuff. All right, here, Steelers at Ravens. Steelers, very small chance to make the playoffs. They win. They need the Colts to lose. Probably not going to happen. Big Ben's potential last game here. The Ravens are favored by 5.5. The total 41 and a hook, Pete.
This one looks weird.
Fishy.
It's very fishy. It's really fishy.
Very
No Lamar
You know what?
Jackson.
You should
Probably not.
But the Steelers are on a short week after an emotional game.
Very emotional.
Very
emotional.
And so they're going to go crater down. The Ravens' final home game, I think they're going to play well without Lamar Jackson. I think Huntley's thrown the ball around, done a really nice job throwing it. I'm taking the Ravens minus the point.
So you think it's going to be Huntley? Would it change anything if it was Lamar?
No, I'd still pick the Ravens.
Okay. All right. I'm taking the 5.5 here.
What are you trying to imply?
No, I'm not saying that
Huntley's better than Lamar.
I'm just throwing the question to you.
But why? Why would you ask?
Or hurt Lamar?
I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, Pete.
Not a
You haven't talked all
Brady
week.
Quinn is opening up a can.
I'm not opening up
How do
anything.
you feel about Lamar Jackson?
All I'm saying is, if Lamar played, he probably wouldn't be 100%, and that takes away some of that dynamic ability, which makes him probably the better option than Tyler Huntley. Huntley, to your point, has played well. I think he plays probably better from the pocket, at least from the small sample size we've seen. It hasn't equated to wins, but regardless, I'm with you. I think Baltimore can win. It's just kind of a big number for two teams that are kind of close. And I do think, like, there's that. Look, TJ Watt potentially could tie the sack record. He could break it.
He could break it.
I mean, the way he played last week, he could break it. And this could be Ben Roethlisberger's last game, unless they somehow find a way to the playoffs.
There'll be a lot of Steelers fans in the crowd.
There will be. So I'm going to take the 5.5 points here. I'm kind of rooting for Big Ben, too, to go out on a win. If this is it for him, he's a future Hall of Famer. He's an Ohio guy. Even though he plays for Pittsburgh, I grew up hating the Steelers. I'm still rooting for him in that aspect, too, to go out on a high note.
Forget the pick, the headline. Brady Quinn said Huntley's better than Lamar Jackson.
I did not say that.
Twist words.
I asked the
Prisco.
question if it would have changed your opinion on your pick.
No, he's thrown the ball well. He has.
Yes.
And Lamar Jackson was not playing good football before he got hurt.
Okay, let's recap.
But I'm not. That's not my headline.
What, do you guys disagree on one of these? That's it. The one that Pete says is putting it over.
Well, two.
Well, I guess now we're going into the postseason, so.
Yeah.
You know.
But I'd like to have an 8-game lead.
Try to stack it up against Brady there. They agree on the Colts both laying the 15.5, even though it's a huge number there. Also, we know you guys are on opposite sides when it comes to the Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. Don't shake your head. All right, coming up, we got the Bengals trying to make it to the first of many of Pete Prisco's Super Bowls. We're not going to see Joe Burrow. Matt LaFleur says we'll see Aaron Rodgers. We'll see for how long. We'll get picks on those games next. Browns are favored by 5.5 against the Bengals this week. I mentioned no Joe Burrow, no Joe Mixon in this game, and you're taking your Brownies to at least cover.
Yeah, well, look, to cover the 5.5, the plan at home, Case Keenum is really who I'm betting.
He got mad at me, by the way, for cheering for the Bengals one week. Browns don't like the Bengals.
He's a Browns fan.
Yeah, I'm a Browns fan. I mean, as a player, grew up a Browns fan before
I
that. Still pull for my Brownies. I think they'll win this game. Now, it's not going to change the fact that their season obviously was a step back from what they did a year ago. I mean, that's the reality of it. And I think it's one of the hardest things to do is have sustained success. And this year you could chalk it up to a number of things. Obviously, the injuries to Mayfield hurt his accuracy, hurt his ability to make plays down the field. I think you saw, maybe even a lack of confidence at times just in his ability to throw the football, move in the pocket well. The OBJ stuff, I mean, it never really worked out. They couldn't develop that chemistry. Could there be a disconnect with the play calling? I don't know. I mean, only people behind the scenes really know, but this offense didn't play as well. The one thing they can hang their hat on is the defense has played really well this year. They've stepped up. That was the side of the ball I was so curious to see if they could continue to improve. I think they have, and they've even gone through their own bout between COVID injuries and all that. So I like their chances here of covering the 5.5. I think it's a lower scoring game, though, obviously with two backups playing, and I'm not sure what to expect out of Brandon Allen. And if I'm Zach Taylor, I'm not playing Jamar Chase. I'm not playing T. Higgins either. It'll be a lot of reserves for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think it will be, and that's why I'm taking the Browns as well. You mentioned the Browns. Do you give Baker Mayfield credit for playing through the season, or do you ping him for the way he played?
Because they've already announced he's getting surgery as soon as it's done.
I think you give him credit for playing through the season. He tried. It was bad. He's probably
give him credit until then he has to be traded or whatever's coming out now.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, look, who's going to pay? Who's going to give anything for Baker Mayfield right now when a year from now you're going to have to pay him a big contract? Nobody's going to do that.
Well, they could continue to go the franchise tag route, which that's one of those things now.
Wait, Pete, you're taking the Browns?
Yeah, I took the Browns.
You flip-flopped.
No, I took the Browns.
Bengals on the sheet, that's all we know.
Yeah.
No, I took the Browns.
Well, now we've got less to
find out. I don't know.
That's even better.
See what we're doing here? I thought we had 4 differences.
Yeah, you
Our
also
producer
wanted
Jack
his picks,
did.
though, before the show.
Yeah,
just to be able to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
You
badgered me for my picks.
I didn't
badgered me.
I actually
badgered me.
Okay, so both of you were taking the Browns.
The opportunity to decide.
Right.
As the elder statesman, I gave you that opportunity.
The elder statesman, I like that.
Okay, so the Bengals said, look, we're basically resting people. You think they should rest more people. Matt
Rest
LaFleur says
they will.
They should. Matt LaFleur says he is going to start his available starters. We'll see how long they stay in. If they do start, they are favored by 4 on the road against the Lions. Total here 44.5. Brady.
Well, the reality is you still want to continue to kind of keep guys in that mode. Now, you don't want them to get hurt, so I don't know how much they'll actually play in this game, but I think there's still a degree to that. If I'm not mistaken, they're the number 1 overall seed, are they not?
Yes.
So you don't want 2 weeks in a row.
It'd be 3 weeks off.
Well, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. I think that's the problem that you run into. You know, I remember talking to Sean McVay, which I think back when, what was it, 2 teams ended up getting the bye. You know, it was a Week 17 game. He was talking about the struggle of, hey, you know, do we want these guys to go in there too rusty, where you take a couple weeks off and you never know how they're going to end up playing. You want to protect them, and you probably err on the side of caution. And that's why I don't think the Packers will be in there that long. Either way, I think they're more talented, even with their reserves, than what we're going to see from the Detroit Lions. So I'm laying the 4 points here with the Packers. I think it's the safer play in this regard.
Question for you. If you're hurt, you might sit out. If you're injured, you sit out. But if you're banged up, you play if they want you to play. Like, so Aaron Rodgers has a toe injury. He should sit.
He should sit.
There's no reason he
David
should play.
Bakhtiari is an interesting one, though.
He shouldn't play.
Does he?
Well, you might want to hit
get him back in
and
it?
play a little bit before you have to actually get thrusted into that a playoff.
Yeah, maybe he should play for
a little bit. I'm not saying the whole game.
But
it's going to be
Adams shouldn't play. No way he should play.
No,
I wouldn't put him on the field. And they're going to put him on the field. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. But you're right. The Packers are the better team. Even with Jordan Love, he'll play. I think they play quarter. I think they'll play the first quarter and then get him out. But Rodgers shouldn't play.
It all depends on how they run. This is going to be like your old school preseason game, where the head coach wants to put the starters out there, and the quarterback walks out. It's like, I don't want to be out here right now. It's too big of a risk. And they call a pass play, and you check to a run. You run your 3 plays, you get off the field.
Is Rodgers worried about the MVP? Because if Brady has a big day and he doesn't play, then
Well, I mean, according to some people out there, it doesn't matter what he does on the field. It matters how he is off the
field. What
field,
happens
apparently.
this week?
I mean, you've got a vote, so.
Matters nothing to me. None.
No, you wouldn't think so.
Not this week.
All right,
No.
Bears, Vikings. Justin Fields now out with COVID here. He was going to start. Vikings are favored by 3, total 44.5. Pete.
Yeah, look.
You picked Bears earlier, didn't you?
No, I did not. I picked the
Bears.
Vikings, and this is the might be fired bowl because, well, Matt Nagy's going and Mike Zimmer might go. But the best team is the Vikings. The better of these two teams is the Vikings. Kirk Cousins coming back. It's not a big game. They're out of playoff contention. He'll play well. So I took the Vikings.
He's got a year left on his deal. I mean,
but he's coming back. The game doesn't mean anything. He's going to play well.
The whole Mike Zimmer firing thing doesn't make any sense to me. Because if you let go of him, even if they lose this game, he's going to have a winning record. He's won the NFC North twice. He's got
two non-playoff years, though. You know how that works.
Okay, but he's got a 7-8-1 record versus the Packers with Aaron Rodgers during his time in Minnesota. That's pretty darn good.
I wouldn't fire him.
I wouldn't either. I think he's going to get hired as a DC at a minimum, if not get some calls about becoming a head coach.
I wouldn't fire him, but they need better coordinators, I think. I mean, you know, they made the change. They brought Kubiak's son in, and then I think their offense has been disjointed at times. That's part of the reason. Maybe he'll learn from this year and be better next year.
I mean, the hard thing is after this offseason, though, Kirk Cousins, he has a year left. You got to make a decision there, too. It's not just on the head coach. It's on the quarterback as well, which, to your point, I do think he'll play well in this game. And I mean,
they have a quarterback.
He's like,
Kellen Mond. They drafted him.
Well, maybe they drafted him, but maybe, I mean, Mike Zimmer's not interested in seeing him, so.
No, not particularly. No. That was fantastic.
That was a great press conference. Washington at Giants, the last time it will be the Washington football team. I kind of got used to that, though, right?
Yeah, I did too.
I didn't mind it. No. I don't know what they're going to come up with, but I say keep it as it is. Washington football team favored by 7 total. Lower number, 38.
I mean, this is one of those games that no one's really looking forward to anything. It's tough because
Cabo, Bermuda, Jamaica, Aruba. Wasn't that a song once? They go on vacation. They want to go on vacation.
Joe Judge can say whatever he wants. The reality is the Giants players, I mean, and they can come to work and all that stuff. They got a lot of pride in what they do. It doesn't seem like they want to be there. They're motivated by this regime. I'm surprised they're hanging on to Joe Judge for another season. That's at least what we're hearing right now. Because meanwhile, you look at the Washington football team. I don't know what the thought process was coming into the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know, I think there's a ceiling there probably. But either way, they've been competitive the whole year, dealing with different quarterbacks, different injuries. Chase Young hasn't even really been there now for a while. They've still remained competitive. Tyler Henneke has continued to play well despite the last 3 weeks. You know, they're doing a lot with not much. So, look, I'm going to lay the points here. I just don't have much faith in what the Giants have been the past few weeks.
The Jaguars are terrible on offense. The Giants are worse the last month. They are awful. They threw the ball twice in the first half last week. They're terrible. I will take Washington. And you're right, that is a Beach Boys song from Cocktail.
From
the
what?
Movie Cocktail.
With Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
didn't know that movie.
What do you mean?
I don't know that movie.
It's a famous movie.
Let's recap their picks. How about that? I don't think you guys disagreed on anything here when it came to the teams, right?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Congratulations. Brady likes the under in the Browns-Bengals
that
game
bodes-
and also Washington Giants.
That's not good for that little group of pickies that we both agreed on.
Little group
It's
of
not good for me. I can't climb my way back. You switched to pick,
This is
apparently.
why he needed to see your picks.
Right. He's frustrated now. But now that you know what's going into the playoffs, you don't care as much.
No, the playoffs are easier for both people to pick. You pick favorites. Not a lot of upsets in the playoffs.
What are you talking about? There's always upsets in the playoffs.
One.
How about we take a break? Then we're going to come back and get more picks. We're going to take a deep dive into the NFC. We got some teams playing for positioning. We got some teams that are just desperate to make it to the playoffs at this point. We'll get picks for those games next. Welcome back, presented by Caesars Sportsbook here. So we got a lot of games coming up in the late afternoon. I asked to see the two full screens here, so they said you're just going to read them off there. You got the 49ers at the Rams. A lot of implications here. The Rams can clinch the NFC West if they win. We also get the return of Cam Akers. The 49ers are just trying to make it into the playoffs at this point. Seahawks at Cardinals. We'll see if the Cardinals can actually win a game at home. The Saints also desperate to make it into the playoffs as well. You also got the Bucs dealing with all the drama. No Chris Godwin, no Antonio Brown anymore. We'll talk about that coming up. Jets at Bills. The Bills a huge 16.5-point favorite there. All right, 49ers at Rams. As I mentioned, the Rams can clinch the NFC West if they win there. The 49ers, they're just trying to make it in at this point right now. Rams favored by 4.5, the total 44 and a hook. The return of Cam Akers, torn Achilles less than 6 months ago. That's
It's incredible. It really is, and especially for his position. I do worry for him, and I don't know, he'll be on a pitch count. I don't know how much they'll actually utilize him. It is a meaningful game, though, and they do need some sort of dynamic ability on the backfield. Matt Stafford struggled the last couple games. I think, 3 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, but they've still been winning, so they've got the job done. I think they win here. I think they cover the 4.5 points. Look, the game's meaningful, really, both sides, but it's more meaningful to the Rams here. And look, on the other side of it, not sure what to expect with Trey Lance. Rough first half, second half starting to get together. But I think the more he plays, especially versus the Rams, may be a little bit more difficult than going up against the Houston Texans defense. So I'm really the 4.5 points here.
Yeah, I am too. And we're bucking the history trends of Kyle Shanahan. He's owned Sean McVay in their time together in that same division. So we are bucking some trends there. But I agree. Matt Stafford's got to turn it on. He's got to have – you talk about guys getting hot going into the postseason. He needs to play well here, and I think he will play well here. I'm with you. Trey Lance will probably start. We don't know for sure, but it looks like he will. I think he came on a little bit in the second half last week, but he'll struggle against this defense. I'll take the Rams minus the points.
Seahawks at Cardinals. Seahawks, they're out. The Cardinals, they could win the division if they won and the Rams lost. It's a lot right there. But either way, so they're favored by 6.5 at home, total 48.
I'm taking the Seahawks in this one. Typically, historically, these two teams play each other close, especially like in opposing, players or opposing teams' houses. Cardinals have not been a good home team this year.
3 and 4.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go ahead and take the 6.5 points here. I think, Russell could keep this thing close. Maybe his last game as a Seahawk. Not that that's going to matter that much when it's all said and done, but I think the way he wants to put on a little bit of a show, and I do wonder at some point in the game, if maybe you're not starting to protect Kyler Murray or they don't get more conservative with what they're doing with them to protect them for the playoffs, because they're in. They're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, but they could be the division winner.
Sure.
You got to keep an eye on the scoreboard. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, but you can't control that. Can't
3
worry
or 5
about
seed.
that. I mean,
right.
3 or 5 seed.
The reality is they're not going to be the number 1 seed. They know that, and so does it matter?
Rather be the 2 seed, because if you win your first playoff game, you're at home in the second round.
Well, here's the problem: is they're not a good home team. So would they rather win it and be at home?
You'd rather be at home.
You think that? I don't know.
Rather
Not
be
the way
home.
this season's gone.
And
Well, Kyler Murray thinks Dallas is home. He says, I never lose at home when I'm in Dallas.
Maybe he'd want to play on the road against Dallas.
Seattle's defense is
Awful. Awful.
It is so
Awful.
bad. It is so
bad.
It's terrible. And you just took them. I'm not taking them. Kyler Murray will get it cranked up. The offense hasn't been great.
Has not.
They will get it cranked up here, feeling good going into the postseason. Russell Wilson.
I'm not saying Arizona won't win. I'm just saying I don't think they'll cover the 6.5.
And I didn't give out any over-unders, but I'm giving out this one. This is an over. This game gets loose.
Ooh, I got under
Lucy
on this
Goose.
one.
That's your first one.
Under on this one.
You went under?
You guys are totally on opposite
total
sides
opposite.
here.
You like the under?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I know other guys who like a lot of unders.
I don't like a lot of unders.
How about we
like
pick the next
this
game?
under.
Okay,
let's go to
let's
the
pick the
next
next
game. We got Saints and Falcons here. The Saints, the only way they're in the playoffs if they win and the 49ers lose. That's a tall task there. They are favored by 4, though. The total is 40, Pete.
Yeah, these two teams do not like each other. Anybody who's ever gone to a Saints-Falcons game, whether it's in Atlanta or New Orleans, their fans travel, and they don't like each other. The Falcons would love to throw the Saints out of the postseason and end their season. I think they'll hang around. I don't think they'll beat them, but I'm going to take Matt Ryan in the passing game. I know Kyle Pitts is iffy for the game. I'm still going to take Atlanta. They don't like each other. This will be a good physical, tough game. Not a lot of points because the Saints can't score either, so I'm going to take the Falcons.
I think the under is the best play here. Although with that number sitting there at 4, you hate to see it. So I'm on the other side with you. I'm going to take the 4 points in Atlanta. It worries me if Pitts is in there because they really don't have many go-to options if he's not. And I also worry about that offensive line and the matchup versus the Saints defensive front. So there's that. But low-scoring game, I think, Saints win probably by a field goal when it's all said and done.
We got the next one. Panthers and Bucks. We've had all the drama with Antonio Brown officially released by the team. Now, of course, we heard earlier in the week T.O. saying, look, I could come do it. Now, apparently Brady Quinn has had something to say. I haven't heard this. You haven't heard this.
No.
But Brady had something to say. Let's hear it.
Let's hear this.
By the way, since we've got former players asked to be on rosters to get a second chance, can I be a third-string quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucks? Can I get part of that group and just hold a clipboard, hang out for the rest of the postseason, maybe into a Super Bowl? Like,
classic ring chasing Brady Quinn.
Well, I mean, when you look at Owens, I mean, he's less than 3.5 years older than Brady. So I mean, if
team baby, I could throw some routes on air, hand some footballs off, hold a clipboard. I mean, just let me know. I'll pick up the phone.
Merry Christmas to you.
It was in regards to T.O., who's, 48? Is that old?
If you guys could see
Have you
Pete's
filed your
face
retirement
during
papers
that.
yet?
No.
Have you filed your retirement papers yet?
Just to have the chance to go back and be a third-string QB for the Bucks as they can try to win another
Bruce
Super Bowl.
Arians called you today and said, Brady, we want you to be our third-team quarterback. Would you go?
I would be out of this seat in a heartbeat. One, to be around BA, but also to be around Tom Brady.
And you know what would make my day?
Yeah.
If Brady didn't play like in a game in the playoffs or something, he got a hamstring and Blaine Gabbert hurt his finger, and there went Brady.
That's right. And you know what I'd do? I'd hand off the playoff Lenny every single time, and I'd take a couple shots to Mike Evans. It'd be the easiest game plan in the history of the world.
You know,
I'd say playoff Lenny, carry us, baby.
When are you going to file those retirement papers?
I don't think I need to. I've been here with you for 5 years now. It feels like an eternity.
Look, the Bucs are going to put one over on Carolina. Carolina's defense actually played pretty well last week. They won't hear. I don't care who Tom Brady's throwing to. He will have a big day. I like Tampa Bay. He's going for the MVP.
Yeah. Was it Cyril Grayson?
Yeah.
He's
the
all
sprinter.
of a sudden, he's all of a sudden become one of their favorite targets. At some point, Scotty Miller might make an appearance. I mean, at this point, who knows? It won't be Antonio Brown. We know that.
Two
much.
tight ends.
Two tight ends. Yeah. Well, I'll say all the tight ends really. But look, they'll win this game. They'll cover the number at 8. Here's the thing with Carolina. They got to fix some things. The pressure on Matt Rule, I don't really get. I really don't. Their defense is in a good spot for the future. Offensively, they just need a quarterback. They need to fix their line. And it helps if Christian McCaffrey's healthy in the backfield, which they obviously haven't had a lot of that this year. So, I think you move on from Matt Rule a little premature, a little too soon.
Yeah.
That would be one of those mistakes made by a new owner who hasn't owned a team for a while.
He's
David
impatient,
Tepper.
though. He's
well,
impatient.
He is impatient. And here's the problem is he can be impatient all he wants. If all of a sudden those dominoes start hitting a week from now and Jim Harbaugh leaves Michigan to take another job, that looks like a pretty darn good job for Matt Rule to run and jump into that with what Michigan was able to do this year and how that program is kind of built back up again. So he better be careful about saying too much because he might be looking for a new head coach as well.
When did you say that about coming back? When was that said?
I think it was Wednesday.
This week?
Wednesday.
Well, it was when T.O. made the statement. I just say, hey, look, he's 48. If he's going to start making that, I think there's a lot of guys going to start calling.
Because it looks like it was in black and white. I'm trying to figure out when he said
It was in 1992.
Very similar to your
1992.
soundbite about the Bengals. How do you feel about the Bucs right now? No Chris Godwin, no Antonio Brown anymore.
I worry about Tampa Bay. I really do. And not just because of those guys. I think the defense has been bad all year. They've had a ton of injuries in and out. They've never really got into a rhythm on defense. And it was the defense that kind of came together last year. If they go to Green Bay and that defense is playing like it is right now, they're going to have problems.
Yep. I mean, they have a hard time matching up on the outside. That's been in large part due to injury, but they're not getting as much pressure either.
No.
That's the other thing.
Well, they're hurt, too.
Exactly, but it's revealed some of their issues are being banged up in the sector. You can get away with it when you get a pass rush. Those two things have not been complementary this entire season.
Well, he already has the Eagles beating him next week. So.
I got in trouble for asking a follow-up question about the Bucs because we have to move on here. We got Jets and Bills. Bills, they could be anywhere from the 2 seed to the 7 seed. They could win the AFC East. If they win this game, they're favored. It is big number, 16.5.
Yeah, again, I don't like laying big numbers, but I'm laying it in this. I think the Jets played better last week. They played the Bucs, really did some.
They almost
good
beat them.
things.
Yeah, they played really well.
Maybe if they kicked the field goal, they would have had a chance to go to overtime. I don't understand that play call. You're the Jets. You're going for it. I get it in that scenario. But I would have kicked the field goal, made it 7. Whole nother story. They played well. Zach Wilson played better. They ran the ball better. But Buffalo can rip apart this secondary. And Josh Allen, who didn't play well last week, will play better here. I like the Bills laying the points. I think they're going to get it cranked up. They're the team. You look at a team that's going to get cranked up going into the playoffs, the Bills will do it this week.
You know, this game to me in regards to the spread, because there's no doubt the Bills are going to win this game. But to your point, the running game's starting to come off for the Jets. Obviously, the defense played well enough to keep that thing close last week, so give Robert Saleh and his staff a lot of credit for that. And Zach Wilson has improved. He has gotten better as the year's gone on, so that's a good sign for Jets fans moving forward. But at 16.5 and in Buffalo, what worries me this time of year is just the weather. I mean, I'm telling you, that's one of the windier stadiums you play in. You could get that one of those bad weather games where it ends up being kind of one of those run the football, not do too much in the pass game, or you can't, or maybe you're only for half the game able to throw in one direction. That's where things could get difficult with this spread. I'm going to lay the 16.5 because I think I'd regret taking the Jets here and ended up losing out on this pick too. You're looking at the weather report?
I'm going to.
We're too far away.
No.
Keep Prisco meteorologist.
It's a Sunday game. You're too far away.
What do you mean you're too far away?
The weather will change at that point in time.
Oh, Thursday is not too far ahead.
not.
Tuesday would be too far ahead.
From Buffalo.
Here we go. Sunday,
Buffalo.
AM showers, winds 20 miles an hour.
That means gust will be a little higher. It swirls in that stadium. So I was just saying.
Then
20 miles an hour. Wonder what the water temperature is.
okay,
The gust will be worse too.
Patriots and Dolphins, and the Patriots, this is how crazy the AFC is. They could be the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, or 7 seed, depending on what happens there. They are favored by 6.5 on the road. The total is 40. Brady, we'll start with you.
I'm going to leave the points with the Pats. I think I'm not sure what to make of last week with the Dolphins. Offensively, they didn't show up. You know, Tua played poor. It was really the first poor game he had since that 1-7 start earlier in the year. And defensively, they could not stop the run. They were awful. And then when Tennessee elected to throw, they couldn't really match up there either. So I just don't have a lot of confidence or faith in the Dolphins being able to figure this one out. Even though it does feel like, granted that was back with Tom Brady and the Patriots, when they would go to South Florida at the end of the season, they always seem to struggle for some reason. But I'm really the 6.5 points here. It's a meaningful game, obviously, for Mac Jones and the Patriots winning the playoffs.
I'm with you. I think the Patriots will win this game. Traditionally, they have struggled with Miami down here, but what are the Miami playing for? And
South Florida flu?
Look, Tua was terrible. Yeah, well, they stay right down the road over here. Tua was awful last week, and that's a little bit of a red flag going into next season because he had started playing better, and then you have a big game on the road. This is your opportunity, and he didn't play very well. So that's concerning if you're a Dolphin fan. I think he'll struggle a little bit here with New England's looks. They'll throw a ton at him. Remember, New England would be winning that division if Harris hadn't fumbled inside the 5 in week 1 and the Dolphins beat them that week. They'll get revenge here. I think they beat them pretty handily by 10.
Recapping your picks, you really just disagree kind of in one spot here, which doesn't make it a lot of fun. But you do supremely disagree, and Seahawks at Cardinals there. Brady going with the Seahawks to cover, taking the under. Pete, the one total you're looking at, you're going with Arizona and the over in that one as well. Coming up, we got one more game, but this one has everything you want. It's pretty much winner or go home when it comes to Chargers Raiders, but there is one scenario where they could both make it.
This is it. Game 544 of 544. The final contest of the NFL regular season, and the stakes don't get any higher. It's win and you're in the desert, with the Raiders hosting the Chargers. For LA, it's never been a question of talent. Pair one of the league's brightest young stars with skill on both sides of the ball, and you should have a winning formula. But each flash of a true contender has been followed by a head-scratching setback, none more costly than a double-digit loss to the Texans in Week 16. And while Brandon Staley is in his first year as head coach, missing out on the playoffs with this roster could only be described as a massive disappointment.
Each week has a life of its own in the NFL. It's had a life of its own since the beginning, and that's the way we need to treat things around here.
On the other side, few thought the Raiders would be in this position, having dropped 5 of 6 starting the month of November, fresh off of unthinkable turmoil. But following 3 straight wins, they now control their own fate. Just one more win, and the glue that's held a franchise and a locker room together would get his first taste of postseason play.
At the end of the day, we have a job to do. No one's going to come feel sorry for you, come pat you on the back and tell you it's going to be okay. It's not okay. We got to win.
Go take what you want. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3. Win.
While the cities have changed, the history remains. A pair of old-school AFC West rivals battling it out for the right to play in the postseason. Who will punch their ticket? We're in for a wild night in Sin City.
All right, here's the thing. I love this. Like I said, it's basically win or go home. The Chargers have to win. Vegas, if they lose, there's a bunch of different scenarios where they get in. But the best part about this is if they tie, and I mentioned the Colts, if the Colts were to lose, a bunch of crazy things could happen. If the Colts lose, this game ends in a tie, both of these teams get in.
Could you imagine if the Colts lost and the Steelers lost too, and then they sat there and took knees?
I mean, here's the thing why I would want to see that happen, just to see your reaction to it. Like, that's the only reason why I would want to see it happen.
It would be disgusting. It would be an embarrassment to the NFL. It's
but it'd be amazing.
Like, do they just make a pact beforehand?
I'll tell you this much.
Like, this is what's going to happen if these scenarios play out.
I swear on my life right now, if the Colts lose, I am texting you, finding you, and I want to watch that Chargers-Raiders game. Because in the event that they would do that and they would just kneel it out, I want to see your reaction for 3.5 hours.
Look, play the game to win it, okay? You have to play the game.
Chargers are favored by 3.
Do you remember, real quick, do you remember the guys in the Olympics, they tied in the high jump or whatever, and they decided they were going to jump off?
They
split this year. They split a gold medal.
Oh,
this is like Thelma and Louise.
You jump off. You keep playing, and I want a winner in this game, and the winner will be the Chargers. Justin Herbert will go in there and light them up. I'll take the Chargers minus the points.
I'm taking the Chargers, laying the 3 points here. I'm with you. I think they win. They're the better team. In fact, I'll go this far as saying they're the most dangerous team in the AFC if they get in, as far as like not one of the favorites. Obviously, Kansas City sits down. You can name whoever you want. This is a team, though, that I think they've just been so up and down this year. If they get hot and get on a roll, look out for this because of what they're capable of doing.
Run defense is terrible, though.
Sure, but they can get after opposing passers. They can match up, and they can put up a lot of points.
And they probably play the Chiefs in Week 1. Chiefs won't want that.
So
I don't think anyone wants. Who wants to play this team? Who wants to play this team in the wild card round?
No one.
No one.
Nobody. Dangerous.
So we're rolling you guys into the postseason. That's what's happening now.
Yes, we're going to.
Yeah.
That makes this no fun. I really, now that I think about
Trust me, and I think we only have 3 disagreements now.
That we had ended it right now, because that's 3.
Thank you.
What? So
you've lost.
Maybe I could just. I'll switch my picks so we can.
It's just over.
I'll switch
It's
my
a regular season.
I'll pitch my. I'll switch my picks so we can tie.
I know we're rolling it, but still, we can say.
It's over.
No.
It's over, man.
What? No,
over,
we're
man.
rolling
This
it
is
into
what
the
you did.
postseason.
You did this.
What? How did
You're the elder statesman. I gave you the opportunity. You did this.
You had a whole season.
The people
to try
at
to
home
catch
right
me.
now. The people at home are watching. They don't want to tie.
You were peacocking around here the last couple of weeks when you started doing better, and now you're.
You felt the pressure.
No, I really did.
Brady,
I felt the
our
pressure.
producer Jack literally
begging
kept
on the
saying
email
that
to
Pete
see
keeps
Pete's
asking
picks?
the heat's in here. The heat's on.
No, I felt the pressure and I responded.
Feel the pressure.
I'm a pressure
thought he was
player.
having
we
a
know
heart
all you have to
problem for a
do is
second.
go read your article.
Yeah, well, it's about me.
You called a paramedic at one point. We thought you were having
Pressure
heart palpitations.
player.
Pete Prisco,
Pressure
Brady
player,
Quinn,
baby.
Amanda Guerra, much more HQ next. You can still talk. It's okay. Got 4 seconds.
Pressure player.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.